morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks. Jack and Keith's weekend playbook. How's everybody doing today as we head into a big weekend with the NCAA Final Four? Major League Baseball heads into its second weekend. We got a big signing in the NFL. We got news in golf. We got news in the NBA. Lots to talk about with my co-host, Boxing Hall of Famer and Michael Spink's biographer, Jack Hirsch. How are you today, Jack?
Hey, good, Keith. Good. Final Four time of the year.
Final Four, wonderful, wonderful time of the year. Listen, baseball's in full swing now. It's a lot of fun. It's if you're a sports fan, this is what you live for.
But I got to ask you this, Keith. Do we overrate the Final Four in this sense that the team that loses is really losing in the semifinals? Think of all the tournaments in professional sports, and the playoffs are a tournament. If your favorite team, the Yankees, for example, lose in the American League Championship Series, you're not thinking, well, they went to the Final Four. You're calling for Aaron Boone to get fired again. That's not good enough. There's no such thing as NBA. The Knicks last year went to the Final Four. Hypothetically, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They did go to the Final Four. Yeah. But we considered it a failure, when they got eliminated. But now a team goes to the Final Four. It's like the years of success.
I didn't look at the Knicks season last year as a failure, actually. I mean,
but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. And again, in college basketball, we don't remember who the teams were that lost in the semifinals as a rule. Some take on some legendary status, but unless I don't know. I guess I remember the ones from when I was younger better than I remember today. I have no idea why that is, but we got a good matchup this weekend with Illinois and UConn, followed by Michigan and Arizona. You got two number ones, a 3 and a 2 and a 3. So fairly chalk, I guess, if you want to say that. No real surprises, no real Cinderellas here. You do have teams that have storylines as far as lack of championships, because Illinois has never won one. It's been decades since Arizona or Michigan has won one, 3 decades in Michigan's circumstance. So there's some good stories here. Good coaching matchups, which I know you don't like to necessarily talk about. But
no, I love the coaching matchups. Don't misunderstand me. My point is, because you have such a lack of 4-year players, like you have 1 or 2, your elite players play the 1 or 2 years at most in college. So the coaches stay for the most part. Or if they do move to another school, they're still in the college game. So we look at the college matchups. My thing is this. You look at a matchup like Illinois and Connecticut, and we're going to be asked to make a prediction, on that game. And everyone's going to have a prediction, but their prediction is influenced by the way you were talking, Keith, about the past, the programs. What a team did 15 years ago is completely irrelevant to today. And I know you're going to go into your stats, you're going to post it. Well, they're 7-2 lifetime. I'm just making up now.
I'm not
going to. It's irrelevant. Actually, in Illinois and Connecticut, we do have a tiny stat, which I think is basically meaningless for the most part, but you could pull it up. They did play in late November. And UConn decisively did beat Illinois, by double digits, as I recall, in late November. But Keith, that was a few months ago. I mean, should we consider that?
Probably not. It's a lifetime ago, and 2 of UConn's main contributors didn't hardly play in that game or didn't play well in that game. So no, I don't think it matters any more than in 2024. UConn just destroyed Illinois. If you remember, they went on a 30-0 run in that game, like that, the worst run or best run, however you want to look at it, that I can remember seeing in the tournament with 2 good teams. But that doesn't matter. There's nobody left except 2 guys, 1 guy from UConn, I think, that played in that game. So it doesn't. I don't think it's relevant. I do think when I talk about decades without a championship, it is indicative of how that program performs over time, right? Not the individual teams we're looking at today. So I don't think the matchups from, if Duke were 7-2 in the last 10 years against Illinois, and I'm making that up, I don't think that'd be relevant. No, because coaches change in a lot of cases. And certainly players change now from year to year, not even, every 4 years, but year to year. So I think you're absolutely right. For the most part, I think you're absolutely right.
But I will say this, Keith, the 6-day gap. Well, wait, they played last Saturday or Sunday. When UConn beat Duke, was that Sunday or Saturday? But regardless.
That was Sunday.
It's going to be 6 days between games.
Mm-hmm.
6 days between games. The reason I asked is Saturday, Sunday, 6, 7 days, not much of a difference. So maybe I shouldn't have brought it up. Does that help UConn? The emotions have to have worn off by now over their thrilling victory over Duke, where they basically stole that game. And are they right? Would it have been better had they played sooner? Because maybe they would have been riding a high, or maybe they would have had that emotional letdown. Because when UConn played Duke, every UConn player had to be sky high for that game. That's like the ultimate matchup. Illinois isn't the ultimate matchup in itself. Getting past Illinois to the championship game and getting where they want to go, that's what they're focusing on. But I think when UConn played Duke, they were focused on nothing but Duke. They weren't looking ahead. They weren't thinking of NCAA championship. They were just thinking of showing their worth and beating Duke.
Yeah, as far as the layoff goes, I think it depends on each team is different, right? So the momentum can carry over, and it does in this tournament when you're playing Thursday, Saturday, right, or Friday, Sunday. I do think that the emotion can carry over and help you. You don't have that letdown. I don't think if that Duke UConn game was a Sweet 16 game and they had to play again and say it was Friday night and they had to play again Sunday, I think that would have carried over. And maybe it depends on the opponent too, whether you get yourself as up as you were.
Or players and nursing injuries. Had Duke advanced, it would have helped Caleb Foster. It would have given them a little more time to come back from the injury.
That would have helped. Duke would have been certainly helped by this 5 or 6.
There's no such thing as momentum, Danny, when you have a 6-day gap between games, because it cools off. You've got to regroup. It becomes mental in large part. Mental. You have to turn the switch on and off. This isn't best, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7. It's one and done. You absolutely have to show up.
I think maybe less than momentum. I think playing in a game like UConn played against Duke is in their benefit more than the time off, because these other teams, as great as they are.
Come on, Rick, get out of here. How UConn practices.
It's not the same.
You don't think the other schools are practicing just as hard?
Yeah, it's. Let me finish my thought about where I was. Now I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Oh my God.
Yeah, but you see, Rick Sherlock threw you off your game.
These first guys, geez, they throw me off my game. I'm getting too old to remember where the hell I was. I was the close game. So UConn has played in a very tight game. Come back from 19, won, with this pressure on it at the last minute. These other teams have really been in cruise control by the end of games, at least, if not through the entire games. Michigan hasn't been pushed at all. Arizona hasn't been pushed at all. Illinois a little bit by Iowa early on, but by the time that game was over, they'd kind of pulled away. So I think that can carry over into however long you want to talk about in this tournament with days off. And I guess that's still momentum in a way, but I think experience of being through that situation.
It depends. The mindset plays such a big role. If you've been a dominant team and you've dominated all your games, and all of a sudden you're in a tough game, a life and death struggle to see who wins that game, and it's nip and tuck the whole time. The team that's been in all the close games, it suddenly favors them. I mean, we could look back historically at teams who've been in close games as opposed to teams that dominated. The famous NC State, upset of Houston.
Yeah.
NC State was in a bunch of close games, not just to get into the tournament, but in the tournament. And Houston had been a dominant team. Yep. With all these, number one draft choices, a couple of future Hall of Famers and Elijah Wan and Drexler. So when the game was really close and nip and tuck, NC State was more used to that.
I think that makes a difference. Now, again, UConn only played really, I think, in one of those games. What was their? Who else they play? They played Michigan State kind of in a nail biter too. So they got a couple of them.
Yeah.
And the other teams do not. So that could become a factor in that game. We'll see how or the next two games should win. But to the nuts and bolts of it, Illinois and UConn, very close matchup, I think. UConn again has that factor. They have some experience in Caravan, he's going for his third national championship. You're not going to see that much anymore. Plus, they have a couple of seniors. All these teams have some upperclassmen that start, at least 2, if not 3, on some of these teams, which I think also makes a difference in why they're here. But I like Illinois. Illinois not only they haven't even, I don't think, clicked on offense to their maximum potential in this tournament, but they played defense much better than I would have expected throughout this tournament. I think that's going to be the overriding factor here.
Well, the defense was Illinois' Achilles heel to a degree compared to their high-powered offense. But lately, as the tournaments went along, they've been playing better defense. Is that the real Illinois team, or did they expose certain weaknesses in opponents as the tournament went along? And
that's part of good defense, right? Is finding those weaknesses and exploiting them. So I think that's. And again, they did play a team in Houston and Iowa who I wouldn't consider offensive juggernauts either. So, but I like Illinois in this game, and Brad Underwood gets to his first final after getting to his first Final Four. By the way, that's another thing. We talked about coaches. They've got UConn's got better experience, at least in these types of games, than Illinois does. And Brad Underwood has not been here. He's coached a long time.
I hate to be repetitious about red flags. I talk about that all the time. I know UConn has the reputation, the back-to-back national championships, and then last year when they got bumped early from the tournament, they lose by a point to the eventual NCAA champions in Florida. And now they're back in the Final Four this year. They got, Dan Hurley and all the charisma. And in this Duke game, that game against Duke was legendary. No matter what happens, people are going to be talking about that game for years to come.
It will.
But the red flags with UConn late in the year, when they were trying just as hard to win as they are now, stand out, like to lose to Marquette, the team they should have beaten, even if they weren't up for the game. And the way the way St. John's handled them in the Big East tournament, they never took a serious run at St. John's at winning that game. And they had no answers. Hurley had no answers for, Patino and St. John's. I mean, it kind of sticks with me a little bit.
Sometimes
I'm going to agree with you with Illinois. I'm rooting for UConn, though. I can't help it.
I wouldn't be surprised to win.
Did Dan Hurley butt the official? How is that handled? That's a mystery to everybody.
That's been so overplayed. Both two things, right? The Duke announcers were calling for a technical on the bench for the kids leaving the bench and the coaches leaving the bench after the shot. Come on, it's emotions. It's not leaving the bench for an altercation. And Hurley was just running around and found the first guy to kind of put his forehead up. He didn't bump him. He put his forehead up against his forehead. He didn't bump him. And
No. The official, if he was aware of what was going on, if he handled it the correct way.
He said there was
nothing. Don't call it technical unless Hurley drew blood.
Yeah.
If Hurley drew blood, but even then, was it an accident or what? It's got to be conclusive, whatever.
But
something about Hurley he seems like a really a good guy, a good person, but he's a little discombobulated in general. Is that a good way of putting it, Keith?
I think discombobulated is a good word. Yeah, I think he has a little trouble keeping things straight in his head.
Yeah, in his head. Yeah, I could play for him if I were a player. He seems to be, good to the kids he plays for. They seem to like him. He seems to be supportive. And he did something when UConn won their first national championship. I really liked it. His son was a reserve on that team. His son hardly got to play at all. But when they ran down the clock at the end, he let his son dribble the ball, and end the game that way. That was a cool moment to me, a cool moment.
When you get in that position, you're able to do that. It is kind of cool. By the way, UConn loses their number one fan after this year, Bill Murray, whose son, Luke Murray, is an assistant coach on this team. Luke is now going to be the new head coach at Boston College. So UConn loses their number one fan. He played on this team. I think he played for Danny Hurley too, Luke Murray, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember seeing Bill Murray at these games before he was coaching. I don't know why I don't remember this specifically. But anyway, give me your prediction. You'd like UConn to win, or are you going to just?
I'm going to agree with you on Illinois. Yeah, I want UConn to win. I'll be rooting for UConn to win, but Illinois has really kind of slipped under the radar. UConn has the big name and they have the charisma, coming off the Duke win, and Illinois is kind of getting there a lot quieter.
That's fair. The game that it's funny in a lot of cases, it seems to be kind of getting pushed to the back table because of the UConn win against Duke, and there's a lot of fervor out there for Illinois for whatever reason. Michigan and Arizona, who are arguably the best two teams left in this tournament, or maybe even entering this tournament, they're going to face off in another semifinal. Two teams that seem to be very evenly matched. Two very successful younger coaches, both kind of deep. I think Michigan's a little bit deeper. They got 27 points off their bench in their semifinal or their regional final. I kind of like Michigan and Dusty May to come out with a win here. I don't think it's going to be easy, though. I think this will be a very, very tightly close game. I think both of these teams are good on offense, defense. I think they're the best well-rounded teams, obviously, in this tournament. I thought Arizona was all along. Michigan has really impressed me throughout this tournament.
Well, Michigan's the big puncher. They're the ones with the high-powered offense who could score points in bunches a little better than Arizona. And Arizona is the better defensive team. And can Arizona keep Michigan out of the paint? We'll see. But I just think Arizona is so well-balanced all around. I know Michigan has guys who are going to go number one in the draft, supposedly. But I've liked Arizona all along here. All along in this tournament. And Arizona, really, they haven't been we talk about a team that hasn't really been challenged from their end. But you know what, Keith? We could analyze things all we want, but it comes down to this. Who plays better? It's that simple. Who plays better? I mean, sometimes one team is so superior to another team or clearly better, they don't necessarily have to outplay them.
Right.
They'll win on talent or find a way to win. But Michigan, Arizona, it's just who plays better. And I'm going to tell you this. If Michigan played Arizona best 4 out of 7, you're talking about a 4-game-to-3 series, I believe.
That's fair. I think that's very fair. I think these teams are because whoever wins Saturday, it's going to be the team that was better that day, to your point, right?
One and done. And done. And who knows what's going to happen that day. I mean, sometimes the ball just doesn't fall in the hoop or whatever. Questionable calls by the officials. I mean, there's so many variables involved. I like Arizona. I've liked them all along in the tournament. And I know, Michigan's been great. They've been dominant. I said a couple of shows ago out there that didn't strike me as that dominant a team. And it was a foolish remark that I made because they've obviously been a powerhouse team in this tournament. But Michigan they remind me of, to use a boxing analogy, like when George Foreman was in his heyday, he was knocking everyone out. And they expected he'd knock Muhammad Ali out as well. But now when Foreman got into a tough fight and couldn't just blitz a guy, knock him out early and dominate, he couldn't respond. And you kind of wonder with Michigan in this case, they're going to have a team that's going to stand up to them. Arizona's standing right up to them. And Michigan's going to have to, if they win this game, it's going to be a tough, hard game the whole way. Michigan is never going to hold a double-digit point lead in this game. Even if they win the game, at no point, that's my prediction, at no point in the game will they be up double digits.
I think you'll see a ton of lead changes in this game.
Yeah.
I do too as well. So I think it's very close. I've got a Big Ten final then, Illinois and Michigan, which will pick the winner, I guess, on Monday. You've got
Illinois, Arizona from my end.
You got Illinois, Arizona. Okay, fair enough. Other big news in college this week. The other piece of big news, while the UNC job is still open and some of these coaches in this Final Four are being bandied about for this job, the big news was Bill Self, surprisingly to me, decided he's returning for next year for Kansas, which takes another power conference job out of play that might have come into play. So I'm glad
he didn't wait on this decision. I don't know whether or not Kansas asked him for an immediate decision, but you're kind of glad he didn't hem and he didn't haw, because if it took him a while to make the decision, and I don't think Kansas was going to pressure him for at least a while. They were going to give him his space. It would be a bad look as far as how committed he was if it took weeks. The only thing I wonder about Bill Self, is this a last hurrah, this last season, or is he planning on being coach indefinitely? If you're a recruit, and I know we have the transfer portal now, it's not the way things were, you want to know that a coach is going to be there a while. Because when he meets you and he recruits you, you don't want to have in your head that he's going to be gone by the next season if you're going to hang around.
It works both ways, right? I mean, when you recruit a kid too, you want to know he's going to stick around, and there's no way to guarantee that. And in either case, look at Will Wade at North Carolina State. I'm sure he went in there telling kids, "I'll be here. Don't worry, I'll be here," and he's gone.
And then they're gone.
Here,
and then they make an excuse that they couldn't talk, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. But in all fairness to the coaches, they can't keep that promise all the time, because eventually they're going to leave, even if it's in retirement. Okay? What's this?
That's just the consensus seems to be with you on your final. So.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about here in the finals. You hear the term that it's a crapshoot, the NCAA finals, these two games. It's really a guess.
It is.
There's Keith knows more than I do, but from everything I've been watching, these games, when you get deep in the tournament, it's usually a coin flip. But I will say this: if it's Michigan and Illinois, the way Keith says in the finals, Michigan's probably going to win. If it's Arizona, I think they're probably going to beat Illinois, both those teams. UConn has that mystique. If UConn does get by Illinois, we'll wait till Monday morning.
To show you what I know, Jack, just to be for full transparency, when we predict the winner Monday, I'll be predicting my third winner of this tournament. So that's how good I've been going in this tournament.
Well, you've been high on Illinois all along.
I have. I didn't think they'd win.
Yeah.
I had them getting to the Elite Eight. I like this. I like the coach, and I like the way he's put this team together. What is more predictable is on the women's side, South Carolina and UConn will play in a semifinal. The two best teams in the country again playing, and very little mystery here, by the way. 3 number ones and a 2, I think, in here. And that's my main problem with the women's tournament. It's so predictable, and there's so many. It's not just predictable. until you get to the Elite Eight, and even in those games, they get out of control. You see 40 and 50-point games everywhere in this tournament. I think they need to shrink this tournament if they really want to get more eyeballs on it. But South Carolina will play UConn. I like UConn. They're just playing on great all cylinders.
They're not going to shrink the tournament because they need television programming.
They do.
If you see what's on, I mean, you're watching college softball, women's college softball.
Big.
I mean, it's entertaining. You're watching a lot, and I've been watching a little bit of it lately, college baseball. And I think college baseball is going to take off in the future and at some point approach the popularity maybe of college football and college basketball. Approach it. I'm not saying get to the exact point, let alone pass it. But I think the NCAA baseball tournament at some point is going to create a lot of interest. It doesn't create interest now for the most part. Let's be honest about it. I mean, nothing compares to March Madness for a tournament in itself. That's the greatest single tournament in all of sports. And playoffs are tournament. All playoffs playoffs another name for tournament. Okay.
Well, the baseball tournament takes about a month to play too, with its the super regionals and the regionals. Before you get to the College World Series, it takes like a month or more to get there. So, and that's not counting conference tournaments and whatnot. So there's a lot of postseason in baseball. Anyway, on the other side of the women, UCLA will play Texas. UCLA gets over the hump into the Final Four. They played well all year. Danny's Bruins. I think they beat Texas and play UConn in the final. The final will be Sunday because they're playing opposite the men tonight and Saturday.
You know what they should do? The women's NCAA champions should play the women's all-star team, the best team the women could put together, and have those women practice about 3-4 weeks together, a month or so, and then play UConn best 3 out of 5, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5. That would create a lot of interest. Assuming UConn wins this tournament. I mean, already we're handing it to them.
You set me up to get me in a lot of trouble because I'll tell you right now, they'd get killed. They'd get killed.
Who would get the All-Stars?
The women would get killed.
Well, who?
Anyway, you're saying, I'm sorry, for whatever reason, I had you playing
the women All-Stars against the UConn women.
I thought you had
playing the men. Come on.
I got you. I don't know.
Listen, I don't mean to be funny. The best men's high school team would be the best.
Yes, I've got a lot of trouble on this topic over here.
I mean, let's be honest about it. Yeah, but there's no big deal. It's different sports, different gender.
You would, to your premise, you would have to give them some time to become a cohesive unit, right?
A month working out together.
It'd be interesting to see. I think there'd be a competitive game, but I think UConn might win them all. They still might win them all.
It would be good for women's basketball. It would be an intriguing matchup.
Nobody's talking about college. I don't do it. Caitlin Clark drove the ratings when everybody was going, crazy 3 years ago. When the women's ratings were in some cases beating the men's, it was Caitlin Clark driven.
Listen, but I will say this: the women's NCAA tournament is more interesting. I don't know what the TV ratings are, but I believe it's more interesting than the men's NIT tournament.
Well, yes, but so is me going and shooting hoops by myself. That's more interesting.
No, listen. I think it has merit, the men's NIT tournament. It's good for the kids. It allows them to continue to play ball. It's they have their own little tournament, but for the smaller schools, it's good.
I agree with Danny. UConn wins are easily. Oh, they're all number ones. I blew that. Sorry about that. They're number twos. Thank you, Danny. Texas is a number one as well. College averages 5,005 per game. Have you watched the games? Talking about
5,005 what per game?
He's talking about baseball. 5,005 attendance.
Yeah, but no one's talking about it. Rick, no one is talking about when the baseball tournament gets to the final game. You think we're talking about it the way we do the
No.
NCAA basketball tournament or the college
We should. And I
football,
should.
college football or basketball? We don't talk about baseball in that regard.
You're right, though.
Same-
We should, because I watch the games. I'm a huge baseball
I'm not
fan.
saying we
It's great baseball.
shouldn't.
It's great
Okay, I'm
baseball.
not saying we shouldn't, but it doesn't create nearly the same interest.
I agree. And part of it is because we don't know the
We
players.
talk about hockey as much as baseball, the NCAA, finals.
But you got to blame. I have to blame the schools and the NCAA. They don't promote it. They promote
Another thing. Look at the draft. NFL draft is top of the line interest, tremendous interest in the NFL draft. NBA draft has an okay amount of interest, not as much as the NFL, but an okay amount. Major League Baseball, we don't even know who the heck a lot of these players are who are being drafted in the middle of the first round. Like, who are they?
We don't, because we don't know we don't know players. We don't know coaches. We don't know anything.
Drafted Austin Wells as the catch of the future. He went, what, about 20th or 25th? And I'm thinking, who's Austin Wells? I hope he's good.
As far as the women's Final Four being sold out, I'm not surprised about that, Danny. The TV ratings doesn't matter.
Locally, it's a big deal for the university. People are going to show up. I'm talking about the fans out there nationwide. They don't give a darn about the baseball, the NCAA tournament, unless it's a team you're following. And then basketball, women's hoops, okay? I mean, we're conditioned for UConn, which is fine, which actually helps because at least there's a familiarity. But until you get, a team that's recognizable playing UConn with a big name player like a Caitlin Clark, that would create interest for that given game.
And it did. Look, and I would say, to Danny's point about the women's Final Four being sold out, I agree, but I guarantee you go back to those first and second round games where the men's venues were all sold out. The women's were not. I guarantee.
What was it? UConn. I think I turned the TV off. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm watching a little of the women's, UConn-Syracuse game was 55-8.
Yeah,
I never got the final score. I couldn't take it anymore.
Well, one of those games was like in the 60s. So, I mean, it was probably that game. Anyway, I'll tell you, Danny even says his UCLA team will get beat by UConn. UConn wins this tournament. Gino Auriemma with another cup. Let's move on to some Major League Baseball. Couple of significant things this week. Today, I guess one of them, I'll focus on something positive first. Connor Griffin, who's one of the most talked about prospects in baseball. Why the Pirates sent him down for a week, I have no idea. But he will make his Major League Baseball debut for the Pirates tonight as shortstop. He might be the most hyped guy in Major League Baseball today as far as rookies go. I don't know. Why do you send a guy down for a week? I don't understand.
Maybe it's service time. I don't know.
I'm surprised if it's just a week, but
I don't know the exact reason. I don't think we should have such high expectations in the very beginning. Look, even Gunnar Henderson, didn't he get off to a slow start for Baltimore? And he's supposed to, be a franchise player. And a good thing about playing for Pittsburgh, you can develop, you could be a little under the radar, at least in the city itself.
Listen, I have high expectations for the Pirates this year. I have them in the playoffs. So
I don't think so, Keith. I think your expectations are a little too high. Didn't you pick you can make a fortune of money in Vegas, Keith, because I believe you picked the Pirates and the White Sox for the World Series.
Oh, I did not take the White
Sox. You tried to collect on that. Oh, baby.
I did have the A's finishing second, by the way. They're 1-5.
No, it's too early. It is too early for every single team. Even though I joked with you before the show, or maybe early in the show, I forgot about the White Sox. It just, they were terrible last year, historically terrible, and they're going to be terrible this year, even though they'll be better than they were last year. They're still going to be terrible when all's said and done. But maybe by the end of the year, they'll show improvement, and maybe they'll show that they're building something.
Possibly. I mean, again, it's a very small sample size. I mean, the two of the biggest surprises for me in the first week were the Red Sox getting off 1-5, and the Marlins getting off 5-1. Again, if this happened in the middle of July, as I said to you earlier, we wouldn't even notice it. But at least
Matt would have been asking me, am I worried about Aaron Judge? I mean, should the Yankees be worried about him?
Other than getting hurt, no, I'm not worried about Aaron Judge.
Not at all, not in the slightest.
A couple other interesting developments this first week. Chase DeLauter and Murakami, the rookie from Japan, playing for the White Sox, right? Both had they set a record by hitting home runs in their first 3 games as rookies. So and DeLauter goes on to DL today, by the way. So
I kind of wonder, the pitcher from Japan, did he have choices? He picked the White Sox of all teams.
I don't.
I mean, could you imagine at the press conference they ask his translator, "Why did you pick the White Sox?" And he says, "I want to go somewhere where I can win."
To give CA some credit,
I would have loved an answer. I didn't want to go to a team that was that good because I know I would get more of an opportunity. That's an answer I would have loved.
That's fair. Also, in Major League Baseball, did anybody have a worse week in the U.S.? I guess we can find somebody.
The U.S.
Then CB Buckner. CB Buckner gets 8 calls, I think, overturned in the Red Sox. I'm trying to remember they played Red Sox-Reds game last weekend. 8 calls overturned by ABS. And then the other night, he just blows a call when he said Jake Bauer didn't touch first base. When you can clearly, he's not even looking at the base. He's looking at the ball and gets thrown away. CB Buckner, I mean, and he's the second longest tenured umpire in Major League Baseball. This type of performance is why we are where we are, with everybody wanting AI to take over officiating baseball games. CB Buckner's got to be better than this, and CB Buckner in any other job without a strong union like the umpires have would get fired tomorrow.
Well, they've got to evaluate why he missed so many calls. Also, I didn't see every call that he missed.
Some were close.
Were the calls bang, bang? Were they extremely, extremely close? If it's extremely close, it's still not a good excuse, but it's understandable. But if you miss an obvious call and the player manager has to then challenge it,
yeah,
I mean, then there's something, then it's bad news. Then the umpire really has to get super evaluated whether he should be there if it's extremely obvious and he still misses it. I just want to say before you move on, I mean, there's another Bauer that's in the news.
Go ahead.
Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer is going to be pitching for the Long Island Ducks.
Is he?
The Atlantic Coast League. I've been to Duck games. They have an old, I won't call it a dilapidated ballpark, but it's not one of these modern minor league ballparks. But I've been there a few times, and it's not bad quality baseball, that league. Not bad. And I know Trevor Bauer has been a head case. We know he's gotten into some trouble with the law, even though he was acquitted, I think, for the most part.
The last set of charges were bogus.
Okay. He does. I hate to use the word deserves, because he was a real knucklehead. When Terry Francona came to the mound to get the ball, he threw it over the center field, the right field fence, crazy. But the guy has been punished enough, kept out of baseball.
Yeah.
If he can still pitch, he should be given an opportunity somewhere. I don't think teams should keep away from him because they're scared how it's going to look public relations wise.
I don't disagree with that not worrying about the public relations part of it. I worry about him in my clubhouse with the rest of my team, though, because he hasn't had great relationships in the past in Cleveland. I don't know, but with the Dodgers, maybe Danny can comment. I don't remember that's the last team he was with, and he pitched pretty well. I just don't feel like he's a good guy, and he's a really good pitcher. I don't know that I want him in the mix on my team. Nothing to do with
the question is this. Has the time he's been banned, has this humbled him? That's the question. You know, the guy had Trevor Bauer to pitch in the Mexican League. He was named the best pitcher of the Mexican League. So when you have to go to the Mexican League, when you have to go to Japan, the Mexican League, and now basically pitching minor league ball, you know, in an Atlantic Coast League, you're humbled. You have to be humbled. You're not going to come up there to Major League Baseball and antagonize anyone in the clubhouse. You're going to be changed. I got to believe it changes you. I know he had problems in college, too. He was a teammate of Garrett Cole, and rumor has it Cole was not exactly thrilled with Trevor Bauer. But, you know,
so he won't be a Yankee. So he won't be a Yankee. We know that.
You never know. Listen, some teams, especially a team like the Yankees, when Cole's healthy again and Carlos Rendon's healthy again, they're going to have too many starters if everyone's healthy. There's going to be a spillover into the bullpen. And look, if Trevor Bauer can still pitch, even though he's been a career starter, believe me, he'll accept any role in the major leagues. If he can still throw hard the way he used to, he could be a middle reliever for one inning and maybe be a very good one, perhaps. So there could be some value there.
I thought the same thing.
Well, how do you know this? How do you know this, Danny? Were you in the dugout?
Hold on.
Because you're judging him in his time as with the Dodgers.
I was going to make the same comment, and I was trying to find something quickly, and I couldn't find it. But I saw video of his antics on the mound during his time in the Mexican League, and it doesn't look like a humbled guy to me. That's all I'm going to say.
Whoa. So you mean to tell me a guy like Mark the Bird Fidrich, you would have called him Keith a showboat. You would have called him a showboat because he talked to the ball. And meanwhile, earlier this show, you were gushing over Dan Hurley's antics. You seem to be gushing over his antics.
Gushing? When did I gush? All I said
your body language was gushing over Dan Hurley. Not what you said, your body language.
My body language? I didn't know you were a body language.
There you go, minimum contract. That says a lot. The guy will take minimum. So if you own a store, Danny, you own a store, and the guy wants work, and he comes in and he says, I'll work for minimum wage. I just want to prove what a good worker I am. You wouldn't give him a chance if you had a job opening.
He's a car wreck waiting to happen. That's my opinion. That's why I don't want him on my team. I don't care about public relations. I care about my team and the chemistry on my team.
Okay. So meanwhile, we have on our network James Martin, who advocates how wonderful Terrell Owens was, slam dunk Hall of Fame. He was poison in the locker room. Poison.
He can have whatever.
He's a Hall of Famer to guys like James.
Well, it's bad guys do make the Hall of Fame. We know that because bad guys are great players.
Those bad guys off the field. I'm talking about a guy who's terrible for the team and splits the team up.
I never would have wanted this guy on my team. Never. I would never want Terrell Owens on my team. I just wouldn't. Yeah. Right? James might. That's fine. Everybody can have their opinion, right? And
well, James would have put Isaiah Thomas on the dream team, even though there would have been a ton of discontent.
Well, I don't know. I agree.
We never got your take about the dream team and Isaiah because he's all over the news these days, trying to trash Jordan every chance he gets. Jordan's never going to respond to it, so it's a one-way battle.
I have to tell you, he's had one of the worst facelifts I've ever seen in my life, too, by the way. Have you seen him on video recently? It's
this Jordan thing being left off the dream team really seems to have gutted Isaiah completely. I mean, Isaiah,
right?
I mean, it's gotten to Isaiah all these years later, and it seems like Isaiah's big goal in life is to tear down Jordan's legacy. He's he's on a promotional tour, it seems, to trash Jordan, and it's kind of a no-win thing. But when you think of the way Jordan has kind of hounded Isaiah, he had his college coach, Bobby Knight. He had Chuck Daly, his NBA coach. He had Dennis Rodman, Johnny Sally, etc., come over to the Bulls, the city of Chicago, taking to Jordan, Isaiah's city.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Isaiah's like kind of fighting back now, but it's not even a battle. It's one that Isaiah just can't win.
Let's well, since we're talking about bad guys, let's pivot to football a little bit.
I didn't say Isaiah was a bad guy.
No, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy in my mind. Since we're talking about,
I'm not going there right yet.
Potentially, problems. Let's put it that way. And I want to pivot to football for a few minutes anyway. Rick had put this up earlier.
You don't know, Rick. You're missing it again, Rick.
Vrabel did
put it up. I got to comment. Don't put Rick's stuff up if you don't want me to comment.
I didn't say you couldn't comment. Go ahead. What I say?
Okay, you don't understand. He puts down, Rick, they are predicting A.J. Brown to the Patriots.
People
are saying that Vrabel won't put up with this nonsense. He will need to keep the books in the library. Wait a second. Mike Vrabel was his coach at Tennessee. He knows A.J. Brown very well. They have a relationship.
I don't
if he comes to the Patriots, it means A.J. Brown and Vrabel got along great at Tennessee, and A.J. Brown is one of his guys.
I don't
he's not gambling on A.J. Brown. And also, Keith, you could vouch for this. If A.J. Brown goes to the Patriots, he becomes the number one receiver.
He does, but again, what do I have to give up to get him? I have more problems with what I have to give up to get him than I do with what he's going to bring me.
What about your first round draft choice? What is number 30 or so, 31?
I don't think it's going to happen. First of all, I don't think A.J. Brown's going to move till after June 1st because the cap hit drops about to half as much for the Eagles. I don't think they make any move with him before the draft or before June 1st. And I think the Patriots are going to be set by then. I really do. I think they're going to probably draft a wide receiver, and you might even see Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, but unless someone falls or the Patriots are able to trade up, I know there are a number of really good wide receivers in this draft. And some of them, one or two, might fall to the middle of the first round. Might.
I don't need the top guys.
If the Patriots aren't there, they'd have to trade up.
Yeah, there's some guys that you can get in the middle rounds here, not middle rounds, but later early rounds that could have an impact. I personally, I'm not giving up what it's going to take to get an A.J. Brown, who's on the back half of his career. He's been a problem in Philadelphia, and as much as Mike Vrabel, I guess if he brings him in here, then he loves the guy and had a good relationship with him. I don't think you want to take a chance on retarding the development of Drake May with a bad case of.
I love the way Keith, you amaze me. You were gushing. I'll use that word for you again. When the Patriots got Stefon Diggs. When they got Stefon Diggs. You thought, what a great move. Stefon Diggs. You're telling me A.J. Brown's as big a problem as Stefon Diggs? No.
Stefon Diggs was not a problem this year, and I never gushed.
He behaved this year like A.J. Brown would be good with the Patriots. The only time A.J. Brown has been a so-called problem is because the Eagle offense, and they kept getting new offensive coordinators, wasn't functioning. They weren't utilizing the receivers the right way. That's what and that was the problem. With Jalen Hurts was part of the problem. He, the amount of respect he reportedly had for the offensive coordinators was kind of questionable. Jalen Hurts, very strong-willed personality, would call a lot of audibles.
To defend myself, I did not gush over Stefon Diggs signing with the Patriots. I had a lot of questions about whether this would work or not. And there's a reason he's probably not there now for his second year because, again, you get the best of Stefon Diggs in year one, and it worked out well. Didn't work out well in the playoffs because he didn't play well. I have never once.
But Keith, you trust Mike Grable. If he gets them, trust him that things will be fine.
I will trust his judgment 100%. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So if he makes the move, why question it? You know, Grable had this player before. If he comes back to Grable, fine. They got a relationship.
In football also, Fernando Mendoza, 2 stories with the Raiders this week. Fernando Mendoza, who they are expected to take with the number 1 pick still, had his pro day, and like you would expect when you've got your guys. And he did say he wanted to do this. One of the reasons he wanted to do it was to showcase his own receivers as well.
That says a lot. That says a lot for his character.
It does. I like the fact that he does that. He wants them to get their moment in the sun, and he performed well. By all accounts. He was calling out the plays where coaches normally do that. He was calling out the plays before and telling everybody what play and what route was going to get run, and he was very good. And as a side note, the Raiders wanting a veteran presence there in case Mendoza's not ready, or a mentor, they bring in Kirk Cousins this week.
Well, I get it. I hate this term. Oh, they're bringing him as a mentor. Let Mendoza decide whether he wants a mentor or not. And if he does, let him decide who it should be. Don't stick him with Kirk Cousins. I mean, let's stop playing these games and be honest. You know what Kirk Cousins' goal is? To play for as long as he can and as well as he can, and to keep Mendoza off the field. That's his goal. Let's be honest about it. Okay? And I'm not saying Kirk Cousins wouldn't try to help Mendoza. Of course he would try to help him. But I love what happened in Atlanta. Cousins and Mike and Penix would be driving to practice together. It's as if Cousins wanted to keep an eye on his competition. I mean, come on. Listen, is it a bad move by the Raiders? No, because all Cousins is guaranteed is $20 million, okay? Even though it's a multi-year deal, they can cut ties with them at a certain point, and not have to pay him enormous money. But what happens if Cousins has a good year? I mean, I don't think Cousins has a lot left, but he's capable because he's experienced of playing decently. And I'm sure he's going to have some good games along the way. More mediocre games than good games, but he's going to have some good games. The Raiders won 3 games last year. What happens if the Raiders go 7-10, which is a possibility? They made some off-season moves. They might do that. 6-11, 7-10.
That's not making a run. So, I mean, you just don't play Cousins the next year if Cousins has a good year.
But the coach, Kubiak, Cousins was his guy when he was a coordinator in the past with Minnesota. So they have that bond. And Kubiak, Mendoza might not be his guy. That might be a front office decision coming from the owner, GM, and Tom Brady. If they want Mendoza, it doesn't matter whether the head coach wants him or not. The head coach has to have him. We saw it happen at Cleveland with Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders.
Kubiak knew before he took the job that Mendoza was going to be their guy, so he's on board with Mendoza.
No, it doesn't mean he's on board. It means it was his only shot at being a head coach in the NFL is to take that job with the Raiders. Otherwise, he could never be a head coach in the NFL moving forward. That's why a lot of these coaches accept the job and they make the best out of it.
I don't remember that much, but I don't feel like it's the same situation because Jason Campbell didn't have the same.
Maybe Cousins will turn out to be a great mentor. I don't know, but I'm a big believer quarterbacks have to play. Listen, take the case, Keith, a Cam Ward with Tennessee. You to answer me this. Would Cam Ward have been better off if Tennessee had signed Kirk Cousins to be their starter last year and if he carried a clipboard? Or was he better off playing and making the mistakes he made and getting them out of the way and learning by making the mistakes? You tell me, would he have been better off with Kirk Cousins last year, being the Tennessee start and him.
Probably yes.
Yeah.
Probably yes. I think some of these guys, some guys are ready to play. Not a lot of them, but some of them are ready to play. I think some guys need to sit. Cam Ward needed to sit for a year.
Caleb Williams, that example. First year with the Bears, a ton of mistakes. Much better the second year.
Yeah, but
let the quarterback make the mistakes. Let him learn by playing.
Well, would you say that about Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson just didn't have it. He wasn't good enough.
Well, we
just never should have drafted Zach Wilson.
The argument I would make is some guys emotionally and mentally are ready to play and some aren't. Physically, they might appear so, and they can handle the lumps they're going to take. Peyton Manning, Caleb Williams more recently. A guy like Zach Wilson, I'll never know, in my mind, if he could have played in the NFL because the Jets did not put him in a position to succeed. Even when they put him in the game, they put him in a position to fail with their planning, and they may have destroyed his confidence, and he had no chance to ever be a great quarterback.
Zach Wilson went to Denver. Sean Payton tried to rehabilitate him. It didn't work. Then he went to Miami and was their third string quarterback and was never given an opportunity to really play. When they moved on from Tua, they went to Quinn Ewers. Now they signed Malik Willis.
We'll find out here with Mendoza and Cousins what happens. Mendoza will probably start at some point this year. Is my point. I don't think he's ready to play. There's a story in the NBA that I'm going to get into this more on Sunday, but we'll touch on it because Danny thinks it's a bigger story than some of the stuff we've been talking about. Jaden Ivey, listen, maybe he got released for the things that he said, but he stinks as well, by the way. He's no good. This is to me the same thing as Colin Kaepernick. He would still be playing in the NFL if he was any good. They wouldn't care.
If he was elite. There's a difference if you're elite. Well, like a Patrick Mahomes could say anything. Patrick Mahomes could make, and he wouldn't do it, Patrick Mahomes. He's too smart and too much of a gentleman. But he could make the meanest spirited remark about something, okay? And people would be outraged about the remark. The NFL might be forced to suspend him because of that, but no way are the Chiefs going to move on from him. They just make him apologize, and they would move forward with him.
I will tell you that Jordan Ivey, he didn't say anything offensive in my mind. He just expressed his opinion, which is his First Amendment rights. But he would still be on this team if he was averaging 20 points and 8 rebounds a game. He'd still be on the team.
Well, they were going to move on from him anyway. The Bulls, they had only like 7 games left. They moved on from him 7 games earlier. Yeah.
They made a mistake. The Bulls make the mistake because they release him and say it's because of conduct detrimental to the team. That's their biggest mistake. They should have just cut him because, he's not good enough. That's it. And they made their own.
No, but after he made the remark, the Bulls had to cover up for it, feeling it has nothing to do with our organization, and we acted on it.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. I mean,
Danny always cuts out a minute before the show. Is he rushing to work?
He's got to sleep. It's still like 6 a.m. out there. He wants to get
right. It's rushing to work. I mean, is he coming late because he was listening to Weekend Playbook? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the bosses would go for that.
He works for himself, so he can kind of do it.
Okay.
So, I do want to get to. We're probably going to go a minute over. I'm sorry, Brian. The Lakers get demolished last night by the Thunder. Luka gets hurt. To me, and I've thought the Lakers maybe had a run in them. This game kind of shows me they don't. I mean, Luka did play 26 minutes. It was an
awful game. They play OKC again soon in Los Angeles. And if Luka was healthy and the Lakers won the game in LA, everything is fine. That the Lakers are still moving in the right direction as the season's coming to an end and entering the playoffs. But with Luka not there, OKC probably wins the game in LA. And all the great progress the Lakers made, where we thought, maybe they could possibly come out of the West, at least give them a puncher's chance. It seems to suddenly evaporate.
It's like
in one game. it's hard to believe. Feels like it's all of a sudden gone up in smoke because not only did they get trounced by OKC, they couldn't even make a basket the first 5 minutes. But then Luka with the hamstring, that's wow. Yeah, bad. Down 33. I see the point. Luka had been in there when you're down 33, but you hate to give up and throw in the towel.
Down 33, though, at that point in the game, I think I might have the towel. And to me, this is indicative of the Lakers are not going to be in a position to make a move on and beat. They might beat somebody.
Not if Luka's hurt. Luka's got to come back at 100%. And then we'll see. Let's see how they do in the rematch with OKC. But Luka's probably going to miss that game. That would be my guess. And if he misses, I don't want to hear if the Lakers lose by 4 or 5 points. Well, maybe they would have won if Luka was in. It wouldn't matter at that point.
Guys, check out Jack's book, Michael Jake Spence. Get it on Amazon in bookstores soon. I'm sure other places you can get it as well. Amazon's my place. Jack, will you be selling those T-shirts is the question that the chat had yesterday.
Oh, no. My wife got me that with the book cover on there.
That was very cool. Good job today. Guys, thank you for your participation. As always, thanks for paying attention to the McGrath Podcast Network. And we'll see you Monday. Jack will see you tomorrow with the debate show. I'll see you Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. But the two of us will be back together on Monday to recap all the basketball, football, baseball. So much going on, man. Let's go. See you later, Jack. Bye-bye. Oops. Wrong thing. All right, well, we're just going to end the show today because I'm having a little technical difficulty. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.